Snow into the south and a major nor'easter. What's new? Are we still expecting this? Let's get into it. All right, it's February 16th. We have been watching the potential for snow returning to the south next week and a major nor'easter. Also a big Arctic blast. So there's some updates here. Let's get into them. So I have some good news and bad news for people who want a major nor'easter. Overnight, almost all of these models shifted the snow off the coast. This could be the third time Baltimore and DC see some good snow and basically none falls into Philly. Here's our latest Euro, American, UK. And I will say this, we've seen a consistent trend east in these models. Typically you see them wobble a little bit more as it gets close. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw our Euro wobble a little bit more back to the west, but we're going to get into kind of what these updated snow totals look like and the time frame for this system next week. And the cold air that's going to be coming in, because that is a big part of the story. As we get into Monday evening, we will see this piece of energy move down from the Pacific Northwest and start entering the plains. As we push into Tuesday afternoon, we could see some heavy snow falling into southern Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and potentially into some areas of northern Texas. This is going to move off east into Missouri, northern Arkansas. You can see here southern Illinois, southern Indiana, southern Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee. This looks right now like it's going to be like a Wednesday morning type of event. Wednesday evening, this is likely going to be cutting up the coast here like most of the Model C. How close is it to the coast? That's the question. And then this is really a Thursday event for the Mid-Atlantic and potentially the New England coast. One thing is for sure, all of our models do show a very deepening low. So basically a bombing out low, this thing is strengthening as it pushes off the East Coast. So if this does get any closer, it has potential to put down feet over here. Obviously, we're seeing a trend east, but we're going to get more into that in a second. I wanted to quickly get into our latest expected snow totals. We're going to see a lot of snow up here in Idaho, Wyoming, areas of Montana, especially up in the high elevation. And this should bring a little bit of snow back down here to the Rockies as well. I know Colorado and Utah have actually been getting some good snow lately, and this is going to be some more in the beginning of next week. All right, so I wanted to push into our south central region here. Obviously, this is in the beginning of the week. We can see some decent snowfall falling into Nebraska and Kansas. Let me actually go to total here so you can see this a little bit better. So much of Nebraska, especially western Nebraska, looks like it could receive really anywhere from 5 to 8 inches. Getting into eastern, this may be more of a 2 to 4 event. This is the latest from the 12Z Euro, so this is really the best snow model that we have right now for this time frame. As we move down into Kansas, we can also see a pretty good swath of snow, 5 to 10 inches across the state. It does look like it's going to be the heaviest out east here. And this really has to do with the storm kind of diving down and picking up some of this moisture from the Gulf. It's going to start to intensify here, as you can see on this map, as we take a look at southeastern Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma, central to southern Missouri, and northern Arkansas. This could be our kind of first big target here. We have sinking air meeting very, very moist air from the Gulf. And this is another reason why this area typically can see very strong tornadoes. This is where you get a lot of these separate air boundary interactions, and it can really intensify things. It's a lot of unstable air. You can get a lot of lift. You can get a lot of convection. So not surprised to see pretty big totals here. As we move into the Ohio Valley, so obviously you guys can see these totals in Missouri. I mean, central to southern Missouri, 6 inches to a foot is possible. Northern Arkansas, it's possible to approach up there 6 to 9 inches. As we move out a little bit east, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, not looking like too much, 2 to 4 inches, definitely possible. Now, the target still is, and this has been for a while in Kentucky, kind of western central Kentucky, really southwestern Kentucky, where you could approach 5 to 8 inches. Tennessee still looks like it'll get some decent snow. Nashville, maybe a few inches. You may be left out over here in south and eastern Tennessee. We'll have to see. The latest Euro does have some dry pockets in here. And then as we push over towards the Carolinas, this latest model does want potentially 2 to 3 inches in Charlotte. I was just talking to my friend Maddie, and she said that her app is showing 4 to 5 inches. There's no model that's showing 4 to 5 inches of snow in Charlotte. Is it possible? 100% it's possible. We have time for this to amplify a little bit more, the trough to amplify a little bit more, bringing more cold air down here. We could see a little bit more snow a little bit farther south, but these weather apps are pulling that out of thin air. I mean, we could go take a look at GFS here, not seeing it. We can go take a look at the Icon, not seeing it. We can go take a look at the Canadian, not seeing it. So I know all your weather apps in Charlotte are telling you 5 inches. Is it possible? Yes. Is your app making it up? Yes, it's just making it up. I mean, unless it's going off the NAM 12K. Let's see what the NAM 12K, because I've seen it now. I mean, yes. What more do I need to show you? It's possible. We don't really have anything that's pointing towards that right now, though. Still seeing potentially big totals. Northern North Carolina. So we're talking like Greensboro out towards Durham. 5 to 9 inches, still a possibility. This is going to be a tight snow line. We're going to have an issue with mixing. So I wouldn't expect these totals to be as high as they say on here, just because of those mixing issues. Let me actually zoom in a little bit here for you guys. I think there's going to be some mixing issues here. So especially people on the bottom here. I don't know if we're going to see this 4 inches, 5 inches, 10 inches, 4. I think that it's going to be an inch or two or a few inches below that. But we'll have to see. This is a pretty tight gradient here, and it's going to continue to be one as these models continue to release. Need I say much for Virginia? They're getting a lot of snow probably. We've consistently seen this in all these model updates. So let's go into the Mid-Atlantic. South and Eastern Virginia looks good. A foot still looks possible for you guys. Western, Northern Virginia, it's looking more like a 2 to 3 inch day for most people. As we move up, I know a lot of people want to know about the Baltimore to DC. This latest Euro, I still think it's going to be like a 3 to 4 day. I've seen this model trend east for quite a while. I've almost never seen for like 4 days straight models continue to go east and never jog back west. I'm not saying it, this is more like of just intuition and gut really right now. I do think we're gonna get a little bit jog back west, and we may see some bigger totals through this region. Right now, this is what it's looking like. Philly up through New York City, still looking like potentially a 4 to 5 inch day. Central to southern, and really, I mean, most of coastal New Jersey here, you could have a good day still, even though this is trending east, with 8 inches to a foot possible. I don't think that's unrealistic. Long Island's looking like a 4 to 6 inch day possibly, and then we may get some good snow up in southern Connecticut, Rhode Island, and out towards the Cape and southeastern Massachusetts. So this is kind of the latest with what's going on with the Euro. What I just showed you is not going to be the perfect. That's not going to be the outcome. It could be close to it, but it's not going to be the outcome. This is kind of just the bigger view of what it looks like, where the snow is expected to go. Could it go a little bit more south? Yes. Could it go a little bit more north? Yes. Could our totals change a little bit? Yes. But I will say the Euro, once we get within this 3 to 4 day period, starts to get pretty accurate and starts to really lock down on its forecast. So this is, again, I think it's pretty believable right now that we're going to see something like this. Now, this is going to bring in some very cold temperatures, and that's another thing we need to talk about. Some potentially record-breaking temperatures. We push into next week, we start seeing 30 to 40 degrees below average up here in kind of the northern plains. And that is suddenly going to drop. And now we're looking at anywhere from 35 to 45 degrees in some areas below average in this region. That does have potential for this time of year, for this date to be record breaking. And that's going to push down into Texas. You can see it right here. I mean, this is crazy. The entire state of Kansas, we're almost pushing 50 degrees below average. And this is within 81 hours on the Euro. So this, again, this isn't really out in La La Land where it's like, oh no, that's too crazy. This is going to adjust. We're probably going to end up seeing something like this. And this does go down into Texas, puts most of Texas 20 degrees below average, especially up here towards Dallas, Fort Worth, 35 degrees below average. And then that air is going to slowly move off east, and we're going to start seeing through the Ohio Valley, 30 degrees below average. We're going to start seeing that cold air pushing into Florida, far into the southeast, 20 degrees below average. And it'll stick around for a little bit, and then it'll probably begin to move out as we get into the following week. Let me show you what this looks like wind chill wise. Anywhere you see really above this line has a potential to see temperatures, wind chills below freezing. So in the negatives. That is a very large area, especially for late in February or mid to late February. We could potentially see negative wind chills in Dallas. And as this moves off east, those, we're going to get some of that really cold air down into Florida, where right now our Euro does think we could get wind chills down into Tampa of 32, 34 degrees. Again, this is kind of late season cold for them down, especially in Florida. These are actual temperatures. And I mean, look at this freezing line, guys. That freezing air is touching the Gulf. This is serious cold. We're going to watch for some potential records through this region for this time of year. The last thing I wanted to go over real quick, if this system does take a minor jog to the west, like I think it might, but we'll have to see, we could see potentially blizzard-like conditions along the coastal mid-Atlantic. Again, this would really have to take a jog west. Right now we're seeing, we could get gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour, but if this went a little bit west, we could see 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts through this region with heavy snowfall. So there's time for these models to still adjust, obviously. I think, once we get into tomorrow, once we get into the 12Z, the 00Z tomorrow night, we'll have a pretty good idea of what's happening. So I would say give it another 24 to 36 hours and we'll be kind of really locking down this forecast. This is really going to be an all or nothing, like a all or bust for the mid-Atlantic. Honestly, we've seen this happen a couple times this season. There are some runs that take all that snow right off the coast and it's dry. Some people are asking, are we going to get rain instead of snow? This thing is very unlikely to jog that far west to put us on the rain side of things. But yeah, this is, I'll be watching this closely and I'll be going live in a little bit here to go over kind of, everything as more updates come out. I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you like this type of content, feel free to throw me a follow or sub. I make posts like this every single day and I stream every single night, sometimes during the day on the weekends. I'll see you in the next video.